Good morning. I want to do another painting with you today. Today we're going to do this one. This was inspired by the Van Morrison song called Into the Mystic. Into the Mystic. One of the verses says, "Hark now, hear the sailors cry. Smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic." So it's basically orange and yellow and some reds. I have a few purples in there. And the boat itself was done with pen and ink, just because the fine lines might not have been so fine if I was depending on the tiny little hairs on the brush. So I think it came out all right. So in truth, it's a mixed media painting. And there's no problem with mixed media. You can mix anything you want. The only problem is, and I know this is a stickler, that if you're entering a competition, sometimes the rules of the competition will say no mixed media. So if it's watercolor, it has to be pure watercolor, no gouache, which is kind of hard. You can trick a judge with gouache when you're doing a watercolor. But you can't trick them with ink. No. They will know there's ink on there or acrylic. So just so you know. But I'm not entering this into any contest. This is a gift for somebody. Somebody who likes the sea and who has an affinity for sailboats, even if he doesn't own a sailboat himself. All right, so let's move on, and I'll show you how I did that right now. Good morning. Today, we're going to do a painting based on the words from the song Into the Mystic by Van Morrison. Oops. Do you remember that song? So what I want to do is create a simple seascape, I think. Let me use my ruler to get a straight line. And very simple. Let me make sure I'm the same parallel to the edge of the card. So I'll go 1 3/4 down. And the song is about going into the mystic. It's a curious song from a musical point of view. It sounds a lot like Bruce Springsteen. Van Morrison would have been earlier than Springsteen, I think. Pretty sure. So here's our whole composition. We want the sun, the horizon, and we want a ship. Not too close to the camera, just enough to be silhouetted by the sun. So let's go ahead and create it right here. Doesn't have to be a very large ship. There's a little bit of a curvature there. A little bit of a curvature there. Maybe that's a little too much. So the song, I don't know when the song was released. The song says, "We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Ere the bonny boat was won, as we sailed into the mystic." Pretty Pretty compelling words, don't you think? Pretty compelling. And that goes on. Let me do some of these drawing here first. I'll read some more from the words. Just put some things. I don't really know what's on a ship like this. But we'll give it 2 tall masts. It's 2 very tall masts that don't require a whole lot of thinking. Just the sails are not up. And this is going to be kind of a fine line piece of art. Maybe I should do some of this with a pen. I think that might be a good idea. Get some of this in there with a pen. And then the other half of the mast comes out this way. Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to use the pen. So hopefully you're doing okay. Put a flag on the back. Yeah, I think I'll use a pen. I keep saying that, and I will do that. And then, of course, all of these fine lines, this is why I want to use the pen. There's all these fine lines that are the ropes. I don't know if they have a nautical name or not. Yeah, this is going to have to be a mixed media with pen and ink, of course. Let's try to get a lot of these lines here. So the next part of the song says, "Hark now, hear the sailors cry. Smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirit fly into the mystic. When that foghorn blows, I will be coming home. Yeah, when that foghorn blows, I want to hear it. I don't have to fear it. And I want to rock your gypsy soul. Just like way back in the days of old. Then magnificently we will float into the mystic. When that foghorn blows, you know I will be coming home. Yeah. When that foghorn whistle blows, I gotta hear it. I don't have to fear it. And I want to rock your gypsy soul. Just like way back in the days of old. And together we will float into the mystic." It sounds like somebody leaving. Maybe even permanently leaving. I'm going to use this Micron, Pigma Micron. I'm going to use this as my pen and ink. Just keeping it very, very, very thin lines here. Yeah, it sounds like a man who's singing about maybe passing away. Could be. And he's remembering somebody special who together they had some wonderful life experiences. It could be. I don't know. I was a latecomer to the Van Morrison fan club, if you will. Yeah, but it doesn't change anything. I always liked Springsteen. And when I heard, I've known Van Morrison through a few of his hits, but I really didn't explore his music until recently. And I love his music. And I realize, at least I think I realize, how influential he was with Springsteen's music. This is very thin lines here. I'll keep the bulk of the boat, I think I'll keep that for the paint. But all of these little ropes, all of these tiny little thin lines, it's almost impossible to see, except for being silhouetted against the sun, the setting sun. I guess if it's a song about going someplace, about leaving, then the sunset makes sense. Although, it might be a sunrise. You know, if you look at it from a different perspective, maybe every ending is a new beginning. Maybe that's what the Bible's been trying to teach us all along. Every ending is a new beginning. Make this little flag. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be making this a mixed media. The flag is even undefined. It's just a flag. It could be any flag. There's a lot of little raking things on the mast. I had a toy sailboat when I was a kid. I mean, an actual sailboat. My dad used to take me to the park, and they had a little lake there. It was kind of a big lake, actually, but, well, to a kid it was a big lake. It was only like 2 feet deep, maybe. And I used to put my toy sailboat into the lake and just let the wind push it around. Nowadays, there's so many different things nowadays. There's always a nowadays part of every story, isn't there? Nowadays, there are sailboats you can get, toy sailboats that have remote control, but they don't have motors. Do you know what they have? They have remote control so you can work the sails. It's pretty cool because you have to know how to work the sails in order to sail against the wind. You have to know how to position them. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. And I know there's a word for that, and you're probably screaming at me right now telling me the word. I do that sometimes with the videos I watch. Not screaming, not really screaming, but I think I'm going to put a little silhouette of a person right here. I don't know if that's a good silhouette or not, but let's keep this boat afloat. Maybe there's more than one person in the boat. Maybe that's the gypsy that he's singing about. Some of these lines that come down almost look like miniature ladders. So I will do that, put these little cross lines on there. I don't know if you know this song, the Van Morrison song, but it's in my head right now. I'm hearing it in my head. I'm hearing that beautiful but rough voice that Van Morrison has. Very emotional voice. think sometimes we forget when artists are gifted with something that we forget sometimes. In the case of a musical artist, it seems like they have this gift to express themselves with words and music, of course. And then in their career, as they get popular and perform, they have to make a living with it. It's having to make a living that forces us to do things sometimes. I think that's probably why it would not be a good idea if we all were somehow rich. Can you imagine if you didn't have to work ever? I know that sounds like a good thing, but all those things that you've done, all those things that you've done in your lifetime to provide for your family and yourself, you might not have done them. Sometimes the need to do things, right? Being philosophical here. Sorry about my philosophicalness. But just chatting. Our boat is coming together. Our ship is coming together. I think I'll just go ahead and define the body of the ship just a little bit more. I still want it to be a silhouette. What do you think? Make it really dark in some areas, and I'll leave room for some watercolor embellishments. So I did have a toy sailboat. I never had a real sailboat. I don't think I don't trust myself with things like that. I probably would sink it or something. Just like an airplane. I don't think I'd be a good airplane owner. Did I ever tell you that John Travolta lives in our town? You know, if you just kind of forget that he's famous, if you don't let that interfere with how you feel about him, he seems like a really nice guy, and he's obviously super skilled at so many things. I know we've all seen him dance, but you ever see him dance and think about it? Think about, whoa, that guy can move. I mean, just to be able to move your feet in such a way that somehow it looks like poetry. That's kind of amazing to me. And then he flies. I mean, he doesn't just fly. I mean, he flies a giant plane. He's got a airstrip here in his own yard. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what that's like? Well, now you have to forget, if you really want to know the man, you have to forget that he's rich, and you have to forget that he's famous. You have to try to listen to what he says. Listen, kind of read between the lines when he talks about things. I've never met him, but I've seen him in interviews. I always think the interviewers are not fair. I do. I think the interviewers are so set on, I I don't know, being funny maybe. Maybe that's part of it. They're so set on it that they missed the opportunity to really dig a little deeper into some people. I think that might be why we used to like Barbara Walters. I think she was one of those who was really good at seeing the person, thinking about the personality behind the person. Does that make sense? Into the mystic. I kind of want to, see, I'm committed now to this ink, and it's, I don't want to make it crosshatch. I kind of want to make it just blocked out, you know. So that's what I'll do. The reason I'm a little bit wondering about this composition is because it feels like maybe this boat should have been not completely black. Maybe it should have been like a very, very dark red. I don't think I'll be able to pull that off now, so we'll have to use our imagination. But I want to make sure the sea has that wavy look to it. Not rough, not like there's a storm, just make sure it has more of an ocean look, like a sea, the sea. Every step along the way in history, we've come up with a way to get from point A to point B. Isn't that funny? We're the only creature on Earth that does that. Every other creature uses their legs or their wings or their fins. We're the only creature that said, you know what? I want to get someplace faster. I want to get someplace easier. I want to go from here to there and let something else do the work. I want to get from here to there, let something else carry the things I want to bring with me. The wind is going to move me from here to there. The tires on the car, they're going to roll. The engine's going to push it, and I'm going to get there quicker and easier. And fast. Well, faster is quicker, isn't it? Quicker and easier. And be able to carry more stuff. We like to carry stuff. We like to bring stuff. Do you remember George Carlin, the comedian? He would always say, we need some place to put our stuff. So I have essentially taken this idea to do this picture, because when I started, I didn't plan to do this with pen and ink. However, as I was drawing it on the card, it became real apparent that these tiny little lines could so easily be messed up, especially with watercolor. So I'm still going to paint over it. In fact, painting over it is how it's going to get hopefully get a little bit of a red orange hue to it, but I don't think that's going to happen too obviously. Just put a few more things in this boat. I don't know what else is on this boat. Maybe the bottom of the masts have something. Whoa, you hear that guy? Talking about going someplace fast. Talking about going someplace faster and easier. That might have been a motorcycle, I'm not sure. Yeah, it must have been. I hear it in the distance now. Yeah, we have all these cool things. There we go. There's our boat. I know there's going to be a reflection in the water, but I want to do all that with the paint. What do you think? I think we got the boat. There's our boat. Now I'm going to use the eraser Get rid of some of these lines just so they're not distracting to us when we look at the painting later on. And this card would be for somebody. Oops, don't erase the horizon. Yeah, this card will be for somebody who likes boats. They don't have to be somebody who owns a boat. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's put some water on this thing. Let's make this really mystic. I'm 23 minutes into the video already, and I haven't even put paint down yet. But look how beautifully that water goes right over that ink without smearing it. Okay, I hope I like this one when it's done. I still have a song in my head. Alright, now we gotta remember we want the sun kind of behind it. I'm not sure where I want the sun. Let's just start adding some yellow. Let's see if that looks good. Oh, that looks good. Just add a little bit. I think we'll put the sun right about there. Into the Mystic. What was that? Isn't there a town in Connecticut called Mystic? Mystic, Connecticut. Alright, now we need some orange. Boy, that's working out nice. Just let it go there. Just we're going to keep the sun right there, so we'll get the horizon orange. And because that's ink, I can paint over it, but it looks like it's behind it. Yeah, that's a good tool, using the ink right there. Yeah, kind of like that. Looks good. Let's get a little bit of red in there. Put some red on the edges. Keep that sun white right there. Yeah. Get some more yellow in there. Whoops. Whoa, that looks like brown, doesn't it? Well, that changes everything. But I got rid of it, don't worry. Maybe there's a hint of a cloud in the sky there. Yeah, maybe it's not a perfectly clear sunset. Pull that away. I know it's wet, but I want to make it a little bit wetter, just so this stuff kind of floats around. I think I'm going to try to put some purple toward the horizon, just to give it more definition. Just a little bit. There we go. There's our, I think that's the whole sky. I don't see a need to do a whole lot more. And I want the horizon itself to be, oh, I messed up, didn't I? Yeah. I went over the line. Well, I'll fix that. I guess I can fix that. Make some of this darker orange and purple, more defined right on the horizon line. Yeah, well, it's into the mystic, right? So we want it to be a little bit misty, I think. Just a little bit. I know mystic and misty is two different things, but misty, it's interesting how they're spelled differently, but misty seems like mysterious, doesn't it? Mystic almost sounds magical. And of course, for that sun to be bright, everything else has to be darkened. But darkening it with orange and yellow. That's the trick here. That's the key. I kind of like the idea that we started this with a song. If you don't know this song, and you sort of like pop music, or I don't know if Van Morrison be considered rock music or not. He probably was in his day, right? I don't know if that would still be true, because everything changes. But anyway, listen to it. Go find it somewhere. All right, now we got to do the water. Now we have to do the water. What do you think so far, huh? All right, now the water is next. Obviously, it has to be reflections and shadows coming this way. And I also have to try to make sure I don't get water on top of the water. I don't want to have the sea water blending with the sky water. Let's see what happens here. They're almost the same color. Everything is about the same color. Just gonna make it wet down here. I think we all have this dream, a dreamy, we associate ships with a dreamy feeling. even if we're not dreaming of being on a ship, you know. Okay, now we want this water this yellow and this orange to be kind of all over the place in this water. And we'll worry about making them wavy in a minute. Look how the paper's curling up now on me. The paper's curling up. Yeah, I just want this little hint of orange all over this paper. And then we can add the waves and the shadow and the reflection of the boat. It's really wanting to curl up. I think once it gets saturated, it'll stop doing that. I don't know. Each picture has its own challenges. But that almost looks like it's picking up the ink right there, doesn't it? I don't think that's what it's doing. I think it's maybe the paper's pulling up a little bit. Okay, well, we're getting there. We're getting where we need to be. I need to get some color that's... Let me use a different... Let me use my old... I'll use this paper as a palette. I don't want to mess up the back of the card. So what I'm looking for is I think that's going to be brown. I don't really want that. What color is this? This is that dark blue. I think I like that one. What's this one? That's green. I don't think I want that one. What's this one? That's blue-green. Definitely don't want that one. What's this one? What color is that? Oh, that's a dark blue. I think I kind of like that one. So I have to wait for it to dry a little bit more. I guess I can start putting some color on the boat itself. I know I've already got ink on there, but I want to give it a little bit of color. And some semblance of a shadow underneath it. Or a reflection. And the masts would be reflecting into the water also. We'll keep coming back to that. All right, let's start with... See, now the paper dries so incredibly fast. I think it's okay to start with some little lines to give the semblance of water. You can see the reflection of the ship and the masts of the ship. Just have to add a lot of little waves into the mystic. Make sure we keep that the bright spot right there, that reflection. It's starting to look the way you want it to look. Just remember that's got to stay light. So the closer we get to the foreground here, the larger the waves would appear. Probably a little bit more orange should be added to that. Some yellow. Should be reflecting into the sea. Yeah, remember I said I wanted to have a little bit of an orange glow to the boat itself. That's what I'm trying to do now. Just cover it with some orange. Make sure we get that sun reflecting. I gotta get that off of there before it dries like that. I just want that to be light. I don't want that to be dark over there. Yeah, I think this is a good way to make it darker and then add the wave, the really deep tones of the waves. I think it's probably the better way to do this. Every time I do a picture, I kind of figure out some way to do it that maybe wasn't what I planned. And you know, speaking of the word mystic, I think that's what I like to accomplish. Maybe not in every picture, but I like things to have a little bit of mystique, a little bit of mystique to them, right? You know what I mean, right? Yeah, keep it looking like that. starting to look like I had imagined a little bit. You know, well, not a little bit, a lot. It's looking a lot like I had imagined. I think I have to let it dry, though, before I add some of this on here. Yeah, I can see it as I do it. So there's a little bit of area here that is dry. Now see, as that dries over there, we want that to, I want to continue having that. Reflection in the water. I'm going to have to think who I know that will appreciate this picture. Maybe put it up on there. Do you know what I like about these little pictures, these little cards, is that they work well in a small vehicle, like a camper, and maybe even the cabin of a boat. You know, wouldn't that be cool if this ended up in the cabin of somebody's boat? A watercolor on the water. A watercolor that lives on the sea. The watercolor of the sea. Watercolor on the sea. I think that should be maybe yellow right there. Not sure. What do you think? Is it starting to happen, or has it happened? Maybe it has happened already. 46 minutes or so into this video. I keep an eye on the clock because I don't want to bore you guys too much, although 46 minutes later it's probably only interesting to the artists. I watch these kinds of videos. I think I've told you that. Maybe that's why I started doing. All right, I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to possibly make it darker. I'm not sure. And I'm possibly going to make that have a little bit of an orange tint. So give me a moment here. I'm going to turn off the camera just so you don't got to sit and watch it dry, and I'll come back when it's dry. Okay. It didn't take that long. I used, oops, oh, it's still wet. I don't want to leave fingerprints on it. It didn't completely dry, I guess. I'm not sure what I want to do here, so I'm going to take a brush here, get it wet, get some yellow on it, maybe a mixture of yellow and orange. I'm going to put it on this. Try to think if I want that in there. I don't think I do. Maybe a little hint on the edges. I mean, I'm okay with it being over here, but I think where that sun is reflecting, I think it already has a little bit of that yellow hue when I first painted the whole thing. So it still has that going on. I think I'm going to call it almost done. I know I just came back after that little break, but a little bit yellow, a little bit orange. Let's see. Let's see if I can make some of these waves a little bit. A little bit more yellow and orange on the boat itself. I kind of like the idea that we're hinting at it. So the whole video, the whole time I've been doing this video, I keep hearing that song in my head. Now I'm going to have to, after I'm done, I'm going to have to find it someplace and listen to it. It's not a bad earworm. You know what an earworm is? Have you ever heard that expression? An earworm is a song that keeps playing in your head. And some people don't like earworms. For example, a good earworm is the Small World song from Disney. It's a small world after all, right? But having Into the Mystic as an earworm is not so bad. It's in my head and it's making me think. I think we're done. I think I'm going to call it done. I don't know how long I was running now because I turned the clock off when I stopped the camera. But let me put my two brushes in the water so I don't forget to clean them. And I'm going to go ahead and fold it because the top is dry, I hope. What do you think? What do you think? Does it represent the song that I was trying to recite? We were born before the wind, also younger than the sun. Ere the bonny boat was won, as we sailed into the mystic. All right. I think I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll talk to you later.